Dr. O, let's take a look at the week ahead. It's a bunch of interesting stuff going down. March employment, we're gonna get that this week, and I guess maybe sort of leading into that, it's just an alert that came out this morning that the U.S. consumer sentiment is down at a level not seen since the middle of 2022. Talk to me about how those two things jibe.
Yeah, I mean, the concerns are all about the labor market. They're all about rising unemployment. They're all about the fact that hiring rates are super low. They're all about the fact that more and more people are falling into that pool of unemployed workers. You have all this uncertainty about policy has caused CEOs to stop hiring, essentially. So the good news is we haven't seen layoffs increase all that much, except for layoffs in federal government employment. But the thing is, all of those federal government workers, well, they end up going into that pool of people that are already unemployed, that are waiting. It's taking longer to find a job as it is. And so now you have this competing group of federal government workers, very often highly skilled, highly qualified, right? So some of these guys have very, very high, college degrees, right? They've been in government work for a long time. And so they come in and compete with these people in the private sector that are already kind of feeling the heat, because it's taking too long to find their next gig. And so all of that is kind of adding to the pressure for people who are currently unemployed. And of course, as the labor market loosens, fears are rising. If you find out that your next door neighbor is unemployed, you start to worry, right? And, quit rates have gone down, right? We've seen that. It's continuing to ease, to fall essentially. And, you put all that together, and of course you get that sentiment, that negative sentiment, again, I think the big takeaway here is that as income prospects dwindle, people tend to cut back on everything and spend less. And that exacerbates the growth concerns that we've seen, that we've seen, in the stock market declines in the past couple of weeks.
So let me ask you this, taking a look at the data that's coming out next week, and we referenced the fact that, job openings, we'll get that information on Tuesday. We'll also get initial jobless claims on Thursday. Something that we have not talked about, very much, at all, on Everyday Economics, because not to say that it wasn't relevant, but the numbers were largely kind of static. But their U.S. trade deficit information also comes out on Thursday. And with the tariff question sort of, lingering around what's to happen with this economy, is that a number that you and I need to start taking a look at? And is that a number that Americans need to start taking a look at? Or is it too soon?
No, I mean, look, the trade I think people make too much of the trade deficit because, look, ultimately, it's, if you think about trade, it's not just about, spending, from abroad. It's also about, it's also about financial resources coming in and out of the United States. And so ultimately, if you look at the policy, the trade policy of the current administration, what do we think is going to happen? Well, let's look at what happened in the past. Tariffs haven't done much. You looked at 2017, 2018, the impact is, the trade deficits continue to increase, so I don't see, I don't really see the changes. I know they are going to be stark this time around. I don't really see the one thing I'm concerned about is, is, I think ultimately the one thing I'm really concerned about is the fact that, you have the cost of everything rising, because not just because of the tariffs, but retaliatory tariffs, the retaliation. You have fewer financial.
Right now, everybody's pulling levers all around.
You have fewer financial resources coming into the United States. And I mean, the president's talking about people moving into the United States because of the tariffs. We'll see. I don't know if that's exactly how that's going to play out. You also have the fact that even if you build, resources, you say, hey, ultimately I need to build resources in the United States because of these pending tariffs. Look, it takes a long time to go ahead and build factories and get them going. The second thing is you also need workers. You're going to need workers to go ahead and, what's the point of having these factories if you don't have, workers to go in and fill those jobs? That's another thing, right? So there's a lot going on. I'm not here to really talk about, whether I agree or disagree, because I'm really, I'm not sure how to think about this. Except
it's early. I'm certainly not asking you to tell us, what's happening in real time, because
I just think it's going to be very difficult to figure out exactly what to see it, to figure out what's going to happen. So we'll have to wait and see. But ultimately, I'm not sure that the intended consequences, the intended result is exactly what we're going to get. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's probably what I'm just can't wait to see. Actually, I can't wait to be honest. I'm going to be here waiting to see the result of this amazing experiment. Maybe it's going to be amazing. Maybe it's not going to be so amazing. I'll tell you what we're seeing right now though is this fear, right? This fear that, potentially prices could be higher, growth could be lower, the unemployment could be higher, the unemployment rate could be higher. And that fear is reflected in the consumer sentiment numbers. And we'll see if that fear is reflected in jobs numbers next week. I think next week's jobs numbers are going to be, very interesting, because if we get, a rebound in employment growth, that'll be the first. That'll be great. That would be great news. It would alleviate the growth concerns. If we see employment growth ease further, it had been slowing faster than expected. If we see a big, drop in the increase in the number of employed Americans, then we're going to see the stock market head south again. Because of those growth fears that I articulated. So I think that's what you're looking for. When you look next week, you're looking at the wage growth number. You're going to look at whether or not hiring rates continue to decline. And the pressure on wage growth is continuing to ease. I will look for that. Look for an uptick in the unemployment rate. I'm looking to see whether or not that's showing up. I haven't seen it much, to be honest, in the unemployment claims data. Not yet. So maybe we still have a very good March jobs report. Fingers crossed, I just want this to work out.
Sure.
For everyone.
Well, yeah. And obviously at Everyday Economics, we'll keep an eye on that. And as a reminder, read Dr. Orphe Divoungui's column every Monday at thecentersquare.com.